steady. I don't know. I'd rather talk to a woman, cause I want it so steady. So here we go. Little girlie, listen to me. Stop giggling and kissing to me. Try to refrain from playing the childish games and from your no.
All right, off the radar, back at it with another interview. Today I am joined by a gentleman that dropped his first album at the young age of 15. That's right, I'm here with Mr. Chi Ali. Chi, how we doing?
Peace, peace, King. How you feeling? Everything is healthy. I'm corona free, I believe. The
Excellent.
family is safe and healthy, so I'm blessed. We here. I'm free and healthy. I can't complain too much.
Great.
We could all be want to be richer, but I think that'll be everybody's complaint. So other than that, I'm good, man.
Absolutely. Good to hear. Glad you and the family are all doing well. Really good.
How
Awesome.
about you? Y'all good? You good on
We're
your end?
doing good. I'm doing good. The family's doing good. It's been crazy
And where
times.
you at?
I'm in
Where
Erie,
you at?
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Erie, PA. So yeah. So yeah, we're doing pretty good. It's been crazy here, but it is what it is, like you said.
Yeah, shit is kind of calming down on up where on this end, the northeast end, I guess a little bit.
Right.
But it's going crazy everywhere. So it's like half of me is paranoid, half of me is like is a hoax. I don't know what the fuck is,
That's funny you
you
say that.
know.
I don't know what's true. I don't know what's right or wrong. So I'm just doing what I'm told. If someone wants me to wear a mask, I guess I'll wear a mask. But
Yeah,
yeah, gotcha. But I know you're a busy man. We'll jump right into the interview. So tell me, when was the first time you ever tried rapping?
Um, like when I think back, I grew up in the Bronx, so I feel like I was like the average kid. I was my parents worked, so I probably from like third grade, I believe I was like taking city buses to school and stuff. So I just remember always having my Walkman like on my way to school and things of that nature, and always just listening to hip hop. Like that's all I really knew. Like I was rapping R&B. That's when in New York, BLS and Kiss, Red Alert, and Mr. Magic was on BLS. Red Alert was on 98.7, and you basically stayed up till 11 or midnight on Friday and Saturdays to hear the hip hop mixes. So that's all I ever really remember listening to. I don't ever really recall saying like I wanted to rap. I remember I think I was 11 or 12. My dad bought me some Technique 1200 turntables and a Gemini mixer, and I used to DJ. So
Okay.
I got into DJing first, and then back then all the rappers had dances. So we used to all want to be in the videos, so we used to all think we was dancers and DJs. But I never actually thought about rapping. At I think when I was around 12 or 13, my dad started sending me to African manhood classes. It was out in Queens,
Okay.
and one of the instructors, he used to make us write poetry. I don't know if he made it, not like made us, but he used to make us express ourselves, I guess, on paper. And I wrote a poem one day, and the poem turned out to be like my first rap that I ended up kicking when I performed at the Apollo with the Jungle Brothers and
Okay.
Baby Prince, rest in peace. So that poem turned into my first rap, but I really think like I used to say it in kind of a rap form because I guess that's how I wrote it. But I think that was my first time ever really rapping it and performing it. But before then, I can't say that like I had aspirations to be a rapper. Like it just kind of happened organically.
Interesting. Okay, so that's when you kind of started. Now, your first appearance on a recorded album was with the Black Sheep. How did that all come about?
Um, all right, I got in the industry with Baby Chris Lighty, rest in peace. And at that time, he was coming up. He was doing everything from carrying records for Red Alert to road managing to Jungle Brothers to managing Tribe Called Quest, managing the Black Sheep. And then when he started, got his Violator imprint as a label, I was the first artist he signed. So when he signed me, that's when Black Sheep was actually working on their first album, and he was managing them. So we used to always all be in the studio together, and then Drez and I's resemblance, everyone thought we were brothers and we looked alike so much. Me and him got close. So throughout the process of Black Sheep recording The Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, it was just I was just there all the time.
Okay.
So it was just like I said, it was more like just a natural thing to happen. Like you know what I mean? If you
Organically.
rap and you with me all day, and we in the studio all day, you gonna be on some of the songs. You know what I'm
Gotcha.
saying? Just
Okay.
it was just a natural process, and that's just how it happened. Like it wasn't nothing like I asked or
Okay.
Drez asked me, "You want to be on?" It was just like, "Yo, we doing this joint." We was all in the studio. Like, "Yo, you got a verse for this?" That type thing.
Right place at the right time, organically, kind of like you said.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. So you were only 15 when your first album came out. The hit single "Age Ain't Nothing But a Number" was on there. It sold about 150,000 copies, if I'm not mistaken. How was that?
Right.
How was the whole recording process?
I mean, for me, it was amazing because you got to remember, I was a kid. So, and then I was a kid around all the guys that's on TV. And you got to remember, back then, it wasn't a lot of us on TV.
Mhm.
So you knew the rap. You knew KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane. It was a handful of rappers, and I was among them. So just being around them for me was amazing. Like
Okay.
when I think back, I'm like, damn, I wish we had phones. I would have had amazing pictures. You know what I mean?
Right.
But so like for me, that shit was just dope because I was young. It was something different that no one else my age was doing. I
Mhm.
was around the older dudes that all me and my friends admired. It was an amazing process. And even like once the single dropped, it's like from the time age ain't nothing but a number drop, like my life changed. Not in a straight Hollywood way, like not super Hollywood, but like I was known and I no longer paid to get in clubs. Like you talking about from the time I was like 15, like I ain't really had to pay to get in the club. You know what I mean? Some shit
Mhm.
like that. Not that I've never paid, but I didn't have to usually. You know what I'm saying? If I did pay, it was because I didn't want to wait for the manager or, you know what I mean? I might be with you. They're like, gee, we can get you in, but your man got to pay, and I just pay for you. So it gave me a great life, man. I mean, I can't complain. I'm truly blessed. I mean, I didn't reach the feats I would have liked to musically. However, I'm blessed, man. Like I don't regret nothing as far as nothing ever in this music game.
Excellent. So you stayed in school during that process, right? You did not homeschool after your album dropped and had some
Well,
success.
we start at first. I was in school, and then we the label put me in a tutoring school, Beekman Tutoring School. It's on 50th, between second and third. It was very expensive, about 16, 17,000 a year.
Okay.
I mean, you had like the kids of like race car drivers and different influential and rich people, I guess, that frequented or stayed in New York City. So yeah, from like after my freshman year in high school, I was going to the tutoring school, and it was
Okay.
basically a process where it's one on one, so you can get more accomplished.
Okay.
So instead of if the teacher doesn't have to work with 20 to 25 students, it's just you can do more, and in a week you may be able to cover 2 or 3 weeks worth of work. That way, it compensates for the time if I'm on tour or missing days because I'm out of town or whatever.
Gotcha. Okay, so you went to the tutoring school, but first you were still in school, though, correct? After the album dropped, you were still in school.
Right, I was.
Okay.
When the album first dropped, I was still in school. Like I was still walking to school. I mean, I could take the bus, but where I lived, it was like a shortcut if you walked.
Okay.
And it was, walking, it was kind of like you had to walk through like the valley, like a little tougher neighborhood. So it was kind of cool.
Okay. Interesting. So I remember being in seventh, eighth, ninth grade, and I could barely take the attention when I got a fresh new pair of Reebok pumps. How was it
Right.
walking around school when you had an album that dropped that was successful around your classmates, just walking through the hall from class to class?
Um, I mean, it was dope, but when I think back, I think my freshman year when I was still in school, we were more recording the album. I feel like
Okay.
once I guess during in between my freshman and sophomore year is when my stuff must have dropped, like in that summer or around that time, because like I don't really remember. I remember being in school recording, like having DAT machines and recording the bells because we were gonna use for certain skits and different things for the album. However, and I remember like when Red Alert first started playing my promos, I'd come to school and people would be talking about it. But I feel like once Age video dropped, I don't really remember going to school after that.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. So I might have started the tutoring school somewhere around there. I'm not sure.
No problem. So how was it like being a kid star?
I mean, it was amazing. Like I said, I was a kid, so for the most part, I was financially secure. I mean, I wasn't rich by any means, but when you 15, 16, if you got, a few $1,000 at your leisure,
I'm sure you could
and
eat.
I was doing shows every weekend, 2 to 5,000 a show, so it was great for me. I mean, the girls loved me. It was amazing childhood, like amazing.
Okay, so I remember some high expectations for the second album. I remember even seeing on Yo MTV Raps, they predicted you were at least going to go gold. I know it was never released. Why did that never come about?
That's an excellent question. And I think, matter of fact, I take it back. I do regret one thing, and that's what I regret, that second album never came out. I feel like the success from Age, the Buck 50, at that time, that was a good first album.
It
With
was.
the second album, you would try to, go 3, 4, maybe go, hopefully. Um, like when I think back about Gangstar, like Gangstar, they didn't go gold to like maybe the third album, but it was a process. They, went from a buck and change to probably like three and change to gold. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And that was how artists developed back then. So it was definitely probably on track. So once the Funky Lemonade, the final single from my first album, started fading and we started recording. I mean, Chris had me recording with all the heavy hitters from Clark Kent to DJ Premier, Showbiz, AG was writing with me. I mean, everybody. He had me
Wow.
working with like all the hot producers that was hot
Okay.
at the time. Um, I feel like at that point he left Relativity because his Violator imprint started off with Relativity, and that's when he went to Def Jam. I guess Def Jam must have offered him a better deal.
Okay.
He went to Def Jam, but in my contract, being that Relativity was the parent company, they had the option to keep me or not keep me, and they wanted to keep me.
Hmm.
So Chris left, they
You're talking
kept
about
me.
Chris Lady, correct?
Right, right.
Gotcha.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
And so when Chris left and went to Def Jam with Violator, now I'm directly with Relativity. However, Chris was their rap guy. Like I don't know if you remember Relativity Records, but they were
Hmm.
like a alternative rock label. They had like Joe Satriani, and
Right.
they had a few decent, really good artists, but it was like more alternative rock. So I was more or less that myself, and I believe Common, we were like their first hip hop ventures. But it was a type thing. Once Chris left, they were kind of learning as they went because they were just breaking into the hip hop game. So with Chris leaving, then it came a bunch of legal bullshit came into play because my dad, who was managing me at the time, felt like, with Chris's leaving, we should be splitting, some of the, I guess, points and percentages that he was getting. And the label was looking at it like, no, y'all weren't getting that anyway.
Hmm.
But my dad was like, yeah, but neither were y'all. You know what I mean? So, I mean, and that went on for about, I guess, about 2 years. I mean, I was still recording. We had the album done, but they doing the legal mumbo jumbo, and I guess I just guess lost my spirit a little, and that's when I kind of more or less delved into the streets. A lot of my friends at the time, were hustling, selling drugs and whatnot, and I guess I just delved into that world. I mean, not full fledged because I was still, Chi Ali, and I really didn't have to, but it was more like I was just there a lot, and it
Okay.
was the type thing like when you're there, it's like, if you're selling weed and I'm with you and, you like, yo, Chi, I'm going in the store and someone's like, yo, you got the weed. I'm like, nah, my man, he in the store. Give him a minute. It was that
Hmm.
type thing. Like, you might as well be involved. You halfway involved because you on the
Right.
scene. So that's more or less when my life kind of spiraled in a downward motion as far as positivity. And, that led to me moving out with my parents' house, me and my dad, just growing up. I was a young teen, probably feeling myself a little more than average, but I think that's natural
You deserve it.
when,
Yeah, absolutely.
when you consider what I
What you
was
accomplished.
experiencing. So, but we were bumping heads a lot. I was bumping heads with my parents a lot. So I ended up leaving, and I moved in with my first daughter's mom, um, Victoria.
Okay.
So we were living together for a while, and that's when she got pregnant with my first daughter. And one thing led to another. We were living in the Bronx, and then we moved. Once my daughter was born, we moved to Frogs Neck Projects, where she grew up at. And because her brother had that apartment, but it was a bigger apartment, and I think he had to go to Rikers Island to do like a year in jail. So
Okay.
we ended up taking that apartment. And then when he came out a year later, he was actually living with us, and that's kind of where things kind of got a little crazy. For the most part, me and him didn't really deal with each other much, but we didn't fuck with each other. But yeah, but at the same time, we were both cohabitating under the
Just
same
kind of
roof.
hello in passing, but no extracurricular activities or hanging out type of thing.
Nah, not at
Yeah.
all. Like just we might be in the house eating at the dinner table together if my baby moms had cooked dinner or something.
Hmm.
But other than that, it was what's up and goodbye, I'll see you later, that type thing. Um, Real cordial, but we never fucked with each other. That I can say. There was never no disrespect, but we never fucked with each other. Um, I do recall, like I said, he had did a year in jail, so when he came home, I had, gave him a couple of dollars and gave him drugs and shit to get on his feet and shit. Um, and I guess that's where we started bumping heads a little, just with him messing up money. And then it led to, I guess, fast forward a little, few months go by, or maybe a year or two go by. I move out. Me and my daughter's mom, I guess, weren't getting along. I got an apartment in Harlem. When I got my apartment in Harlem, um, I would still go up there to the apartment to see my daughter, and he would be there. But him and her started bumping heads a lot. So one thing leads to another. One night, him and her got into it, and she calls me, and it leads to me and him getting into it, and it was very severe. And that night changed my life forever. I drove up to where he lived. Altercation ensued, and I ended up shooting him and causing his death. After that, I basically left New York and was
Real
on the
quick,
run.
Chi, not to cut you off, I'm sorry. So he made a comment to you that you found disrespectful is one of the reasons
Right, he
why
told me
you.
to suck his dick. He told me to suck his dick. That's what the
Okay.
comment
So
was.
had he not said that, you it probably would have been fine. You may not have brought a gun with you. Is that correct? Because you were so
I
offended by the
probably
comment.
wouldn't have even left my house.
Okay. So,
Cause you got, like I said, me and him wasn't really beefing. Him and his sister was going through it.
mhm,
So she called me, and that's when him and I started getting into it. But by no means, I don't think she called me thinking this nigga's gonna kill my brother. You know what I mean? So I don't blame her. And it took me a while to get to that point because for a while I probably did blame her. Like, if you home in bed and I call you like, yo, I need you,
mhm,
and that, and when and me needing you leads to a homicide, you know,
wow.
at the end of the day, you had the right to say no,
Yeah.
but you also know that shit. I was home and she doesn't call me. I don't. I'm not here. You know what I mean?
Timing.
So
Yeah.
it was, but I had to take responsibility and take full responsibility. But that took a while. That process took a while.
Okay. So he makes a comment like that, just so you can put it in perspective for somebody. I mean, it's obviously disrespectful. It's not acceptable. Could you equate that to perhaps like a white person using the N word in a derogatory manner? Is it that bad when you had to retaliate for him to
I
say
mean,
that?
I think. I think yeah, it's that bad. I think it's equivalent. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
I'm just trying to understand, but yeah.
Especially growing up in the streets. If you're in the streets, at least at that time, mid '80s, early '90s, growing up in the Bronx like that, I recall like growing up, my older brother telling me at some point in life, like, "Yo, you don't let nobody tell you that."
Okay,
You know. So I think it's equivalent to a white person saying nigga problem. Definitely. And
gotcha.
then in prison, it definitely is. In prison, it's like if you want to fight somebody, you tell them that, call them a faggot, suck my dick, a snitch. Like them three right there is basically let's fight.
Okay. And if you don't retaliate, basically you're a coward. Is that, am I correct in saying that?
I mean, in prison you definitely need to retaliate if that's
Hmm.
said to you. I mean, in the streets not so much. I don't think so.
Okay.
I
Gotcha.
mean, because in the streets, how many people even know? I mean, back then it wasn't like it was Instagram and shit. You know what I
Right.
mean? It was more, you know, machismo, egotistical pride thing, probably.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So you were saying how you basically fled the area.
Right.
So that you went to Atlanta, correct?
When I
You went
left,
to Atlanta. You changed your identity. You not only changed your look, you had a
right.
new birth certificate. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I ended up going to Atlanta, and in Atlanta, I obtained everything from a birth certificate, license, credit cards, basically a new identity, like you said. I got an apartment out there, so I'm living in Atlanta for about maybe about a year, and about a year in, I find out that they're gonna air me on America's Most Wanted. Well, I remember it was around the November time. It was in November when they first aired it, November of 2000. So
So you had the opportunity to watch it live.
I actually watched it. Yep.
Wow,
Yeah, I knew a month before it came on. I knew it was coming on. Like,
that's crazy. So what goes through your head when you see yourself on America's Most Wanted? Excuse me.
I guess it was more like a feeling like, I'm watching and listening, and I guess once it's over, I'm like, what the fuck did you do? Like,
So
you
it
know what I
almost put
mean?
it in
Like, yo,
perspective. Like, oh my God, this is how real this
you
really
done
is.
fucked up big this time. Like,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I felt like, it was just because of the rap thing. Like I don't think if I wasn't a rapper, it would have been. He was a dude that sold drugs. I was a dude in the
Mhm.
streets dealing with drugs. I mean, that shit happened. I'm not saying it should be accepted, but it happens a lot.
Okay.
So I mean, like every homicide with two drug dealers ain't on America's Most Wanted.
Right.
You know what I
Gotcha.
mean? Usually it's multiple homicides or a situation like mine where I guess because of the hip hop link to it, I guess that made them blow it up. And then with the hip hop police back then when it happened and everything that was going on in the streets of New York, it was just a lot going on. So I guess it made sense. I just feel like it wasn't that serious. Not, and I'm not trying to take away the severity of taking a life. What I'm saying is in our neighborhoods, it happens a lot.
Okay.
Rarely do you see it on America's Most Wanted.
Gotcha. Is that the main reason why you got arrested, you think?
Probably.
Wow. Okay. So now I remember watching America's Most Wanted, and I mean, how would you be if you saw the host? I remember he made a little comment like, looks like the Roadrunner won't be running around the streets anymore after you were caught. Do you have umbrage with him? No big deal? Or like if you were in the same room with him, what's your feelings towards John Walsh, the host?
I mean, my thing is, I feel like the show should be illegal because it kind of convicts people before they've been tried.
Hmm.
Um, More or less, when you watch that show, they trying to paint a picture of this dude as an animal because they want the public to fear you, so they turn you in.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's what they promoting. They promoting get these criminals off the street. We need your help. So they gonna paint the picture to make it, oh, he just shot a man over some CDs and $300. Me and that man had a history. It
Yeah.
wasn't no CDs and $300. We wasn't even talking about money. We wasn't really even beefing with each other. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, but that's the picture they paint. So people look at you like, oh, this motherfucker's crazy. He's armed, dangerous. This nigga's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, oh shit, that's him. So I think um that brought awareness to the situation. So it makes it harder. They flush you out. It makes it a lot harder. Especially with the rap thing. Is you gotta remember everybody knows Chi Ali if
Yeah.
you black or liked hip hop.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like I can't go to the store no more now. You know what I mean? It made it very different for me versus if You know, if you just killed somebody and they put you on America's Most Wanted, you know, you might grow your beard, you know, and do a few things, and you'll probably be all right because no one, people after the show they're not gonna remember you. You know what I'm saying? But who the hell ain't gonna remember that? Would be like, like if Tiger or somebody was on America's Most Wanted. Who the fuck ain't gonna know Tiger?
Of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. So you had that. You were locked up for 12 years. How is it being a rap star that was in jail? Were you treated differently? How was that whole process for you?
I think the process, it was a double-edged sword. It had its pros and cons. I think with when I was first came up and I was upstate, like I was far, far from New York, where it's very racist. Like when I was in Clinton, I started my bid there. Like I don't believe it was any black COs at the time. So when you in an environment like that, the treatment from the police, you're gonna be treated like every other nigga. They don't know fucking Chiali. Um, Now the treatment from inmates, it varies. You're gonna have some that show love. You're gonna have some, man, fuck that nigga, he ain't nobody. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And you got some that is just trying to do their time. So it's a double edged sword. But then like once I got to Sing and closer to New York and in prisons where it was, a larger black population of correction officers, that's when I say it was a double edged sword. Because you got some people who was like, yo, I was a fan of your music growing up, kid. Yo, hold your head up, keep, you know what I'm saying? If you need anything, let me know if I could do it. You know what I'm saying? You need a shower or anything, some food, you know what I mean? And then you got some that's gonna come in and look in yourself, that's the Chiali, and fuck that Chiali kid, man, fuck him. And it's like, all right, it's like everything else in life. You're gonna have good people, bad people, but my personality and during my bid, I was like, I'm really laid back dude. I was so laid back that it got to a point where even the dickhead police didn't even fuck with me because it was like he don't fuck with nobody. You know what I mean?
Right. Gotcha. So did you ever get in trouble? Did you ever go to the hole while you're in prison?
Yeah, I went to the box a few times. I think I had a dirty urine. And I went to the box 2 or 3 times where I beat the tickets like bullshit. Like a lot of times in the prisons, when things happen with staff, if it's like a fight with staff, they gotta cover their ass. It's just like the police in the streets, but you don't got the cameras. So you gotta be very careful because sometimes, like I went to the box once, police beat a kid up.
Just randomly, or did?
I think he did something,
Okay.
but I had nothing to do with it. It was they jumped him,
Okay.
and the way the situation was they had the rest of us locked off where we couldn't get in the gate when they was jumping him, so we had to go back to our cells. But they jumped him so bad that like he had to go to the hospital, to the outside hospital. So when they doing their reports, they had to cover their ass, so they come back and take 3 or 4 of us to the box and said we basically were threatening the police while like we surrounded them while they were beating them up. I mean, like some straight bull. Like it
Wow.
didn't happen. Like
Hmm.
I ended up beating that ticket because 2 COs testified for me, like a female CO that locked the gate so we couldn't get into the area where the altercation was. Testified, no, I locked the gate. He couldn't have gone. You know what I
Wow.
mean? Like
Yeah.
so it I ended up beating that ticket because it clearly all the police's stories conflicted. And but that's like everyday shit in jail. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But it's like so it can be crazy, man. Because like I said, it's just like out here when the police do some bullshit, they trying to cover their ass at anybody and at any expense.
Gotcha. So, all right. And again, I know you're in a hurry, so I'll try to get a couple more questions out. So, you were in for 12 years. How was it when you were released? Was the world different? I mean, how was it adapting to the new
Definitely, I
world?
think if you spend anything over 5 years in prison, is gonna be different.
Hmm.
Now, once you start talking 10 years, you're talking very different, especially in this era. It's like 10 years from 1940 to 50 probably was a big difference, but I don't think it was as drastic as like 2000 to 2010 because of the phones, the inception of these smartphones. Like I missed all of that. Like when I went to jail, the two-way pages was the shit.
Right.
Phones wasn't taking pictures and shit like that. So all of that shit, the technology with the phones, I think, makes it ill.
Gotcha. Okay, so do you have a relationship with her name was Victoria, correct? Do you have a relationship with her at all, or is it just cordial because of your kid?
We cool. Me
Cool.
and Vicky,
Awesome.
I no, we more than cordial. We cool.
Awesome.
Like that's my friend. That's my
Absolutely.
friend.
Really good to hear. Okay, so I know you've changed your life since then. What are you up to today? What
I got a book. I wrote a book. It's called Another Kind of Freedom. It's my autobiography. It basically concludes when I get released from prison. So it's basically my life up until I get out of prison. Um, Self-published. I wrote it. No ghostwriter, nothing like that. You could get it at chialibx.com. Another Kind of Freedom. It's $20. If you got somebody that's locked up, if they type in the code freedom, they could get a discount, 25% off for anybody locked up. You can also get it on Amazon. So that's what I'm doing with my book, Another Kind of Freedom. Please check it out. And then I work with Until Freedom. That's a movement my brother, my son, Tamika Mallory, Angelo, and Linda Sassour started. That's basically they freedom fighters for the black struggle. I'm
okay.
actually getting ready to shoot out to Kentucky. We having a rally for Breonna Taylor
Oh,
because you
okay.
know they still haven't arrested the cops who killed her. I
Okay.
mean, this woman was in bed sleeping and got murdered
That is
by
unbelievable.
police while she was in bed sleeping,
Wow.
and they won't lock the motherfuckers up.
I don't get that
Like
story at all, yeah.
the warrant was no warrant.
Mhm.
Somebody lied and said it was a warrant. No warrant. They're looking for someone who didn't live there in 2 years. They're looking for someone who they had in custody for 4 hours.
Wow. That's unbelievable.
They're looking for you. You're in jail. They come to my house because you lived here 2 years ago looking for you after they got you already.
Wow.
They look for you with a fake warrant. No warrant.
That's unbelievable. The
And they
coverage I've seen has been so vague. I don't know if it's
and
been
they
covered very
they
well, but
they come in. They come into the woman's home. She's sleeping. No knock. Her boyfriend hears something. He gets his gun. He says freeze. They see him. They start shooting. Everyone's shooting. They got shots from outside the apartment. The blinds was down, so that means police outside is shooting just into a window. So they lock up. They kill her. They lock up her boyfriend because a cop got shot in the leg. Later on, they find out the cop got shot by another cop.
what?
Friendly fire. That's why they had to drop the charges on the boy.
Oh my
You know what I
goodness.
mean?
Yeah.
But they murdered a woman that was asleep. Like they basically broke into the wrong home and killed somebody.
Wow.
And it's like no one wants to take responsibility. And it's just, and the fact that they won't lock them up, the fact that police will rather not go to work than see them get locked up is disgusting, man. It's just disgusting. So I work with Until Freedom. Like
Okay.
we just fighting for all these black people who's losing their lives to police
When's that
and
rally? You said
justice.
you're going to Kentucky?
Yeah,
When's that going to be?
I'm at the rallies tomorrow. I'm
So
leaving later.
you're leaving in minutes. Okay. Gotcha. Before I let you go, any upcoming hip hop, any albums, anything that you can promote that you're going to be featured on?
Right now it's quiet. I mean, I'm really just working with Until Freedom. My
Okay.
son and I probably will work on a EP of some sort at some point. But it's like, it's no shows, I don't think, most for the rest of the year. So
Right.
for the artists like me who's not necessarily getting radio play, if you can't do shows, other than, whatever, sales you make on Apple Music or whatever, it's not really so lucrative. I mean, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So for me right now, at this point, I'm just focused on what's going on with the struggle with my people.
Understandable. All right, before I let you go, is there a social media anywhere that fans can keep up to date with you you'd like to promote?
Chi Ali BX, everything. You can get the book at
Okay.
chialibx.com. My Instagram is Chi Ali BX. My Facebook, everything.
All
Chi
right.
Ali BX.
Excellent, Chi Ali. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Peace. Thank you for
See
having
ya.
me.